Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Steve Ramona. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal and every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. Today's guest is going to light you up. You'll be motivated, you'll be challenged, and most importantly, you're going to walk away with tools that inspire action both in your life and the lives of others. Audience, here's your homework. How will you serve yourself and others today? Doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage can change the game. So lean in, take notes. Shout out to my two sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, and it deserves to perform like one. Want to think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer? Just text the word OPTIMIZE to 72000. Optimize to 72000 and get instant access to 6 short, powerful videos, each just 3 to 5 minutes, that reveals simple strategies to unlock peak mental performance. Because when your brain is clear, your business grows. And the Epic Impact, the storytelling system that helps your message connect and convert, it's just 4 steps. Engage, persuade, inspire, close with clarity. I use it every day for all my messages. Try it free at epicimpact.ai with code STEVE. Change your messages, change your results. Excited to announce Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast was named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you all of you, my guests and my audience. You've impacted so many people. Let's continue doing that. Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. This is Steve Ramona, and I'm fired up to have my guest today. He's a guy, by the way, and he's a guest, because we're going to talk about wealth and the bull shift. Yeah, I said shift, bullshift about that in life. And you're going to want to take some notes. So get your pen and paper out and re-listen to this as you're listening, because there's going to be a lot of stuff out there that he's going to put out to educate you. You're going to want to re-listen to it. I do it all the time and write notes down because you're going to get excited about hearing something. So let's bring our guest on. John, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Steve, thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure.
So wealth is a big part of what you do. How do you serve with wealth?
Well, I like to be able to connect dots that people don't often think of. And I look at ways of saying, okay, well, what's going on in the world of politics and what does that mean for the way people invest and what's going on in general? And I think about things in a way that has the servant's heart, tries to do what's best for the ordinary people that I'm working with, that I'm serving, but helping them to understand what's going on and really connecting dots that they otherwise might not connect. I can go into some examples, but I think that's the short answer.
Yeah, I was going to mention the connect the dots because wealth is so emotional.
Right.
Even if you got very little, you don't have enough to pay your bills. You have a lot. What do I do with it? So I love that you mentioned that. And that's what a servant heart does. It doesn't just pitch and sell and transact with people. Talk about the edge you give. How do you find edge in your portfolio process?
So I'm a portfolio manager. That means that I work with discretion. So most people who work to give advice to retail clients work on a collaborative basis. With me, it's a bit different. I'm a fiduciary. People say, these are my goals, these are my objectives. We get it all written down. We agree in advance. And then they say, here's the money, John, and run it in accordance with what we want. And so my edge is that I take a lot of the emotion that you were talking about a moment ago out of the decision-making process because I have a system and I'm rigorous in maintaining the system and my adherence to it so that the people who hire me will say, no, 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 John, we don't want to do this. We believe that you're doing this properly. And instead of micromanaging or instead of having to call us, because I have experiences from before when I was not a portfolio manager and when I didn't have discretion, when I tried to do what was best using a servant's heart, but it didn't work. So I'll give you an example of that. During the global financial crisis in 2007 to 2009, people lost a lot of money, especially in the stock market and in the real estate market in the US. So we had these things, portfolio blueprints. They're called investment policy statements. That's where you have it written down between the advisor and the client. I'm going to have a mix of 60% stocks and 40% bonds or whatever. And you agree that when stocks take a tumble and they lose a third of their value and now you're 50-50 because your $1 million is down to $800,000 because your 600,000 in stocks is down to $400,000, we have to rebalance. We have to take some money out of our bonds to put it back into stocks to get back to 60-40. That's what we agreed to. We put it in writing. And by golly, when I would call my clients back in 2009 to do exactly that, even though they had committed to it in writing, they would go, yeah, John, I'm not comfortable. I'm nervous. I don't want to do it. So even though I had a pre-commitment in writing with their signature, this is what we're going to do. This is why. This is how. I couldn't get them to do it. So now they give me the discretion. So now I don't have to call them, and they can't let their emotion get in the way of what they know they should be doing because they know intellectually that's what they should be doing. That's when they sign the IPS, when it's all calm and cool. But when things start getting crazy, they go, on second thought, maybe I'm not so sure. And that makes it hard for me to work with a servant's heart because I want to do what's best for them. And they say they want to do what's best for them, but emotionally, they can't let go and they don't feel comfortable doing what they need, what they in their heart of hearts know they should be doing.
And financial advisors have this problem all the time. I use this analogy. My engine goes out. I go get a mechanic to replace that engine. You're my advisor for my money. I can't tell you what to do. I mean, I
Right.
can, but I shouldn't because you're the expert. I love that you do that because my advisor's been doing that for 15 years and I make a crap load of money because of
Right.
doing exactly that. She comes and asks me, what do you think? And I usually tell her, hey, John, go take my money.
Yeah.
I trust you. There's not
Right.
trust, get another advisor. So you said a word there that's really important that I've learned over the last 5 years of fiduciary. Can you
Mhm.
define that for the audience so they know what they're looking for when they're trying to find an advisor?
Sure. A fiduciary is a person who is obligated by law to put the client's interests ahead of their own, to manage to do their job as if they were doing it for themselves or for their mother. You have to do it. It's not enough to do a good job. You have to do the best possible job. You have to think of everything. Doesn't make you perfect. We're still humans. You still make a decision that might not work out in the end, but you have to show your work and do what you believe is best for the client.
And that's a protection for the client too. Say if an advisor, because I've heard advisors and I've been dealt with one that did you know, they gave somebody, 8 annuities.
Right.
Advisors don't do it. Does that protect the client a little bit as well?
Yeah, if the fiduciary is doing his or her job properly, they wouldn't be focused on sales. They would be focused on giving the client what the client needs for the client's circumstances. Every client is different. It's not cookie cutter. You have to take the time to make sure you understand and then make recommendations that are in accordance with that client's needs.
How do you handle, you've talked about a little bit, but the big thing about money is emotion. You buy a home,
Yeah,
it's $2 million. I'm in California. $2 million, a lot of money.
yeah.
180,000 is a lot of money. How do you handle your clients' emotions?
Well, that's funny you should ask because that's part of why I became a portfolio manager because I found and a lot of people who work as financial advisors, I'll begin by saying this, will say that they're a behavioral coach. And a big part of finance is, as you say, you hit it on the head, is emotional. So even if you know intellectually what you need to do, and even if the person you're giving advice to knows intellectually what needs to be done, if you can't control the emotions, you're probably not going to get the best outcome. So the way I do it is by saying, you know what, I love you, I'm going to take care of you, but can we please? I'm basically I call it taking the gun out of the client's mouth. Like they're going to do something that's
Right.
going to blow themselves up. Can we please just let me do this in a way that gets you to where you need to go, and believe that, understand that I understand what the risks are, and I'm going to consider the trade-offs, and we're going to do what we think is best, what I think is best based on your circumstances. And please don't you fret about it. And I mean, that's easier said than done. But what I have found is it was in '09 when I became a portfolio manager. So I've been working with discretion for 16 years now, is that it has been easier, and partially because markets have mostly been going up that whole time. So that's another thing. But it has been easier to just do what needs to be done without having to pull the teeth and get people to resist their own instincts because they think they know better, or because they're having second thoughts.
Love it. Audience, this is the game changer. I don't know a lot of advisors that are doing what you're doing, John. So I appreciate you, what you're saying and what you're doing, because again, it's such an emotional thing. I mean, people have lost a lot of money because of an advisor. I'm just going to put it out, but there's bad dentists and doctor. It's across every industry. It's not
Yeah.
just not financial.
Every industry has a lemons problem. Like, there's no field of endeavor that doesn't have a few bad apples. But the other thing that I would say is that 99 point something percent of advisors have a servant's heart, are trying to do the right thing. There are a few that are out and out crooks. The ones that do things improperly are not usually unethical. It's usually because they're sloppy, or because they miss something, or that sort of thing. But it's not really. Usually an error of omission rather than an error of commission.
Yeah, I love that. And I love your lemons problem. I'm going to borrow that.
Yeah,
It's a great,
yeah.
great analogy that people can wrap their head around. Bullshit. I
Yep.
just love saying that. Your book, bullshit. I'm going to say it again, audience.
Bullshit.
You all say it with me. It's just when I first met you, I think I told you that. I just love what
Yeah.
you did with those words. What's the book about? What are the readers going to find out and learn from?
So yeah, so I'll hold it up. I've got a copy over my shoulder, but I'll put one up here. It's closer so that people can see it. It's about optimism bias. So optimism bias is when you think you're going to be okay, but you're maybe a bit complacent. So the idea behind the title, I'll do that first, is it's how the financial services industry shifts your attention to make you feel bullish. It's a bit of a sleight of hand. Happy, happy, joy, joy. As long as we're keeping people feeling good, they're going to open their wallets and open their checkbooks and invest their money, because the promise of a better tomorrow is what we all want. And so people will write their checks. If you tell them, hey, you know what, we could be in for a rough patch. We could have 2, 3 years where we won't make much money. We might even lose a few bucks. People will say, well, if that's the case, you know what? I'm not going to give you any more money to manage right now. So the industry has a natural bias, a commercial imperative to be optimistic, and it's good for business. And I'm not saying it's wrong. In fact, I would go so far as to say 19 times out of 20, it's right. It's overwhelmingly positive. But the problem is, what happens when, as is going to be the case inevitably, you have the one circumstance out of 20 when circumstances are not so great? Optimism bias is when you say, oh, I understand that bad things will happen, but I don't think they're going to happen to me. So here's the example I always like to use, Steve. If you ask people, what are the odds of a newlywed couple getting divorced? Most people don't know the exact number, but most people will know that the number is pretty high. And in North America and in Western Europe, that number is pretty consistently between 40 and 50%. So not quite half, but almost half of all marriages end in divorce. Now, if you ask newlywed couples on their wedding day, what are the odds that you will divorce? They'll say, well, zero. I'm not going to get divorced. Okay. But what are the statistics? What are the odds? And they'll say, well, I don't know, 40, 50%. So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You know that 40 to 50% of all marriages end in divorce, and yet you are completely convinced that you're not going to be part of that. But where do you think we get that 40 to 50% from? It's from a whole series of it's tens of thousands of people that all thought they would never get divorced on the day they got married. So optimism bias is saying, okay, I understand bad things can happen, but it's not going to happen to me. I'm special. Well, guess what? No one's special. and
No,
and
it's
that's the
true.
risk when you're investing, is you think you're special, you think that it's not going to happen to you, and it can happen to anyone.
So you're telling me my money's not greener than yours?
Not greener, no. Mine's not greener than yours either, if that's any
Yeah, yeah.
consolation.
Let's go back and forth. We can ping pong that all day. What's a piece of advice or tip that you could give us for? I know there's you love your book, and first when we met, you were so excited, and I'm excited about it. Well, but what's one piece out of the book that people would get a tip with wealth and wealth management?
Um, so there are a lot of things where I will say that I like to be a guy who tells the truth, even if it's unpopular. So there's a story I tell in the book about a guy named Ignaz Semmelweis. He was a Hungarian doctor in Vienna in the 1850s, and he was practicing at the best research hospital in Vienna. And they were doing research, and they were doing all manner of other things too. They were delivering babies, and they realized that the women that were giving birth at the hospital were dying at a 4 or 5 times rate compared to the women that were giving birth at home with a midwife. And so now the hospital's trying to figure out why. So some boys comes up with this idea that, I don't know, what if we doctors just put our hands in this disinfectant solution before we delivered babies? And of course, he tried it. He did all the things that you would do in a scientific evidence. Double blind trials. You've got a control group. Let's do some doctors with, some without. Let's get a big enough sample size. Let's see what's happening. And the experiment gets run. And sure enough, the number of wives dying in the hospital is pretty much identical to the number of women that are dying at home. So you'd think people would love the guy for his great medical breakthrough. Nope. The doctors hated him. They despised him. They said, we've taken a Hippocratic oath. We have an obligation to do what is best for our clients. And how dare you say we're part of the problem? We're gentlemen, we're professionals, we take our work seriously. So these are people who rejected the evidence. And of course, germ theory became a thing about 10 or 12 years later. But at the time, no one knew what germs were, and no one would accept the thesis, which was proven by Semmelweis. And instead of being recognized and championed, they basically ran him out of town and put him in a sane asylum, and basically he died penniless. So one of the things I always like to say when I'm speaking to people like you, Steve, is I say, don't Semmelweis me. When I say things, I'm not saying it because I'm trying to tick people off. I don't say things because I'm trying to get a rise out of them. I'm saying them because I believe that they are demonstrably true. And you need to don't hate someone for telling the truth just because you don't like what the message is. And so the important thing that I have to say is that optimism bias is everywhere, and we're all biased. Every single person on the planet, I'm biased, you're biased. You might not want to admit it, but you are.
I am.
Hey, I'm one of those people who thought I would never get divorced, and then I ended up getting divorced. So, the story that I just gave, I see myself in my own story.
And a servant's heart doesn't rely on that. You don't get married and go every day, go the 40, 50%. I'm going to, I mean, you just know there's probabilities
Yeah,
and be aware of them. And I love that you're saying, I want people to understand that, is because that's the thing, is don't say it's never going to happen, but it could, but don't move towards it happening. Do all the
right.
things that you need to do that. AI, elephant in the room with financial,
Yeah.
and legal and financial are kind of a little behind on it. What's your thoughts on the future of AI with finances?
It's ironic, but I should also mention parenthetically that my wife is a lawyer. And so, we talk about AI a fair bit. We're both a bit old school. Neither of us use it much. I'm starting to use it a little bit. I write articles as well, so I do a number of things. And sometimes on my podcast, when I'm going to have a guest on, I will use AI to do some research on him or her and what their backstory is and so forth. I can come up with what I think are better questions. It's going to be here to stay. I would say that a lot of what AI is about, people usually ask in two frames, either from what is it as an investment and what does it mean for the workforce. So I'm going to answer the question two ways. So as an investment, there's not much doubt in my mind that it's going to be a lot like what we saw with the internet bubble in 1999, which is to say, it's trading. AI stocks are trading at extremely high nosebleed multiples. Those numbers are almost certainly not sustainable. I don't know when they're going to come down to earth. I don't know why. I don't know how long it'll take or how long it'll last, but it can't go on indefinitely. That said, there's no doubt, just as we all know, the internet is now everywhere. It's a very transformative technology. AI will be an absolutely transformative technology. And there's no doubt that it's here to stay. It's going to be a wonderful thing, very positive on the whole, but it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be a bumpy ride. In terms of what it means for the workforce, I think it's pretty obvious that in almost all fields of endeavor, the future of work is cyborg, which is to say, it won't be just machine learning, it won't be just humans, it'll be humans working with machine learning to find ways to do certain things easier, better, more effectively, more completely. And then other things where there's a human touch required because there'll always be a room for a bedside manner for a doctor or a help me to understand this little thing that I can't really control for an AI when you're going through a legal dispute, or this little thing that you need to know about my background and about investing my money. That I don't know that AI will ever quite get there. I could be wrong. Maybe AI will get there, but I think there will always be a role for humans as well. It will be hybrid. It will not be one or the other. It will be both, and I'm quite confident about that.
I agree with you. Well, it's well said, John. Thank you, because it's still going, as you said, it's a wacky world right now with everything that's happening, and it's moving so fast. It's bypassing people. We're coming to the end here. What does your next 2 to 5 years look like, and what does finance look like? How much is it going to change, or is it going to stay the same?
Oh, I'm going to change. So I'm working with different people now to help me do some branding and to do some of the great stuff that you do. I'm trying to be a bit more like you because I'm frankly jealous that you've got such a great audience and such a
Thank
great
you.
reach and can actually make a difference in people's lives. Part of having a servant's heart is being able to make a difference. And, I want to make a difference. And if I make money in the process, great, but that's not what motivates me. I'm more motivated by changing things for the better to have the financial services industry be more professional, be more transparent, be more evidence based, all of those things. And so that's what I'm going to be working on. I don't think I'm going to be writing any more books. I've already written three. I am going to continue with my podcast, Make Better Wealth Decisions, and I'm going to continue serving my clients. The other thing that I will say, if I may just go into one
Go
little
ahead.
bit of diversion, is that increasingly portfolio management now is becoming more like pension management. And it used to be public stocks, public bonds, and that's what's in your portfolio. If you look at what the best pension plans do in the endowments at Yale and Harvard and all around the world, they will have a larger allocation toward private equity, private debt, real estate, infrastructure, different things that maybe 8 or 10 years ago we couldn't get into a portfolio. So for me personally, and I would hope for the industry in particular, in general, I would hope that we could have truly diversified pension style portfolios for ordinary retail investors so they can have a better risk adjusted return and a better life at the end of the day.
I'm voting for that right now. That is powerful. I love
Yeah.
that. And this is fantastic. So let's end with a fun question. Let's get
Okay.
to know John a little bit better. So I've got a reservation at a restaurant, table of four. You have one chair. If you want to bring your wife and family, we'll have chairs for them. But you're going to invite three people, whether they're dead or alive, to sit down that you've always wanted to talk to, get to know, learn from. But the most important question, John, is what food would you order for the table?
Okay, so the food is the simple thing. I usually have a seafood pasta with the Chardonnay to drink. So that'll be with the food. Three people dead or alive. I'm a music guy, so I'm going to go with my favorite living rock star, whose name is Brian May. He's a PhD and astrophysicist and a knight. You may know who he is. He's famous for having written songs like "We Will Rock You" and "I Want It All" and so forth. He's the guitarist for Queen, so he'd be one. My second person is also a musician, also dead. His name is John Lennon. I don't think I have to tell you who John Lennon is. A huge fan of his work. I think he's a real genius. And the third person is I would like to have a follow-up meeting with a person that I met once when I was alive, and that's Mr. John Bogle, Jack Bogle, who is the founder of Vanguard. And so I got a chance to meet Mr. Bogle at his office outside of Philadelphia about a year and a half before he died in the autumn of 2017. And just a really fascinating man and a real hero to me because he's probably done more to make more people wealthy than anyone else in all of recorded history. And I would be very delighted to be able to speak with him again.
What a legacy all three of those have left. Holy mackerel. That's a hell of a table. I might have to bring a chair in and listen to those guys too. John Lennon would go crazy with peace and his with the world it is today, but we won't get into that.
Well, the thing about Leonard is that he would tell it like it is, and he didn't try to make friends, he didn't try to make enemies. He just said his piece. Another person that I would talk to if I could have a fourth person would actually be George Carlin. Carlin is great for his social commentary, and
Yeah.
again, he's really funny. I'm not funny, but it's, you know, as they say on The Simpsons, it's funny because it's true. And so many things that Carlin would say were things that people would reflect on and go, yeah, why is that? And so I really enjoyed his humor as well.
That's a great call. And audience, if you're under 40, search him on YouTube. He's everywhere. You'll love him. He still has comedy today that resonates with people. You'll love him. Great call. John, thank you, because you're such a blessing. In the finance industry, it's hard to be a servant's heart because there's so much money, and it's just a mindset thing, and you're taking care of your people. I know people listening want to connect with you. How can they do that, and how can they get the book?
So my book is available anywhere if you want to go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble or what have you. Once again, it's called Bullshift. You can see it there over my shoulder. You can connect with me through my website, which is johndegooey.ca. I'm a Canadian. We didn't even mention that. I'm based in Toronto, Canada. So you can connect on me with johndegooey.ca, and you can always please like and subscribe my podcast, which is called Make Better Wealth Decisions.
Love my podcast
It's
hosts.
available on all platforms.
Love it because I think, as I've told you, and the audience is hears all the time, I think podcasting is here to stay, and it's going to be the future of connecting with people in such different ways. Thanks again, John. Audience, Bullshift. I love saying it, so I'm promoting the book again. Go get it. SHIFT, Bullshift. Get the book because I think you'll love it. John calls himself serious, but he actually did a couple funnies today, so he actually is funnier than he thinks he is. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and real quick, I think these links, and including John's, subscribe to his, because if you're talking to somebody, they're talking about wealth or talking about whatever it may be, and you hear a podcast like this or listen to John's podcast, share those links with them and impact them, because that's what I believe podcasts are, and John's doing that with his. Of course, this one is impacting people, and it's freely done. You get it for free. Give out those gifts for free. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Me and John want to thank all. You're welcome. Thank you all for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.